Did you know that there's a PDF out there that someone just released onto the internet of the entire US Army survival guide? And I was on Reddit. It was just like super interesting that this thing is just put out there. I kind of stumbled upon this entire thing because of the stress with war earlier. I'm just going on to this knees deep into the topic of World War III. I suddenly found this PDF that was posted 5 years ago. And when I looked into the entire PDF, it turns out to be a relatively legit manual, and it was published in the May of 2002. And it literally says headquarters of Department of the Army. So it seems relatively legit. And how I know that it seems relatively legit is because this entire document is over 600 pages and it's actually insane. And the amount of content, just based on if I just go to the table of contents, it's actually pretty hefty. So then, as we're kind of going on this general trend of World War III being a hot topic, I was brainstorming, okay, if this survival guide is like a necessity that people eventually may stumble upon when they're either getting drafted or may potentially be drafted, even though it might not happen, they might actually stumble upon this content to be curious or see what to anticipate to like a super anxious type that may or may not be me. So then it got me thinking, this 600 plus pages of content could essentially be a content series, a video content series that someone that's a content creator type and to just try out different videos, they might actually be ripe to create this idea of creating these type of Army survival guide content chapter by chapter. And when I look at this document, it has 23 chapters, essentially. Every chapter has maybe 3 different subtopics or chapters that you can probably create a decent amount of content on. At least 60 videos in these series. And then you could be survival guide creator in the context of Army situations as more people are trying to find something about how do I deal or like what can I anticipate in the context of getting drafted or in a situation of World War III. Maybe they just are curious in general about going into the Army as a career. I think video content like this might actually go off while we're riding this general trend of like political instability and international relations being like a wobbly thing. And I think if there's a content creator out there that just do a lot of these like real life vlogs or some kind of like interesting challenges, why not do like a series of Army survival guide content and just dissect it chapter by chapter? And you could also have AI to assist you in scripting out the entire piece of the content because you have all the chapters to essentially create a relatively structured video off of, and then just make a bunch of these 10-minute video guides on how to wrap a bandage around your arm.
Babe, wake up. The U.S. Army just dropped a free playbook for years worth of social media content. And all you need is ChatGPT to unlock it. So basically you're saying, we're going to take this book and then we're going to just make it all into video. Each individual lesson in the book can be its own set of videos. So that sounds like a huge content opportunity. Like, of course, there's going to be some like really visually interesting stuff going on in there. And like it would just be fun to make. So like that's like obviously a great idea for so many reasons. But I also do wonder, forgive me if you don't know the answer to put you on the spot like this, but is that like in the public domain?
You know what? I actually don't have an answer to that, but I can't think of a world where the US Army would be mad to make content to teach people and actually also relate with people on how to survive in the US Army. I would imagine like worst case scenario, you get an email from like someone in the US Army communications department going like, hey, we don't like this part about the video, but we like the rest of the video. Can you just like change this part so it looks good on us?
Yeah, that's actually very true. I would expect definitely something like that from the US Army. The reason why I asked that is I just wonder if it's like from a copyright standpoint realistic to to do like new renditions of this, I guess. So I mean, you're making all this content, like maybe you're like unlocking revenue from YouTube Shorts or something like that. But like, let's assume that like this content is not yet like earning money from ad revenue. I think a product that maybe I would sell with this, like maybe you could just start it out as a digital product. Also, like there's no reason why you couldn't go physical because like print on demand is a thing. I would start selling copies of this, but maybe do it a little bit differently than like this version. I mean, this is 600 pages and it's just like blocks of text. Like it must be insanely hard to digest. I'd probably release some type of summary or maybe like a graphic novel version of it, something like that. And then use your content to push that as a product. I think that would be like a really great combo for something that's like set up for success in the long term.
100%. There are also a whole lot of other survival guide handbooks that you as a content creator can also remix of like these handbooks into coffee books or informational graphics or posters into certain pages. That just seems interesting. I just noticed on the same thread of this Reddit thread, this guy also gave us like similar references of like the Ranger Medic Handbook, SAS, Survival Handbook, Ranger Handbook, and Special Forces Tracking and Counter Tracking Manual. So these are endless content. I think that within a survival niche is like a whole thing. This might be a really valid angle as a content creator to just dissect all these handbooks and then create these like series of, okay, I'm going through every single chapter of these survival manuals or handbook guides, and this is my video series. And then that could be your life as a content creator now.
It could actually be your life because the US Army has literally written it out for you. And they've got 600 pages worth of maybe some of it slop for you to cut through and find those golden nuggets of viral videos. Yeah, because there's definitely some good stuff in there. You're basically on a trajectory to be like 6 months to a year away from being the next Bear Grylls. Just think about it that way.
Yeah, and arguably we do need that modern day Bear Grylls personality that's in the likes of Jake Paul.
Yeah, and you know, one day you too could have your own knife company. And then maybe you could get as big as Jake Paul, and then you could even have your own hydration beverage.
You could also go the Mr. Beast angle and then have like an Amazon show to have like a competition of Survivor. But it's like all just like kid influencers.
It's so obvious, like literally just be Mr. Beast, like, and then you'll go viral. Obviously, I think that's what the real answer is to this episode.
Yeah, I think I might have like a nice premise now. It's just like a bunch of couch potatoes and iPad kids trying to survive in like the wilderness. I think the show is going to be called iPad or Die.
Well, I think that would be a great show to go along with the web app that you have to post to scroll with. You could do this as a partnership. If you're a content creator or maybe you're even going a step beyond that. Maybe you're like a cinematographer and you have some very honed in unique skills in the way that you produce your own content. Going over to a business that is like-minded, like one of these companies that's making the apps to block social media from your phone. I mean, like that in itself, that could just be its own series. You could make a game show, iPad or Die. There you go.
Yeah, I think that was a really interesting premise that we just created. And it definitely spun in between whether it's like coffee books or it's a reality show that this entire content empire can spin into.